So sklearn dot data sets, and I want to import the data. The data name is load digits. And if you want to show this data first, it will take time. And now I want to use the algorithm also. K-Means, it is the algorithm name. And one library for the data visualization. Matplotlib. So now I want to use the PCA also. So firstly, what is the PCA? So now it is just the difference. So firstly, the K-means and to partition data set into predefined number of clusters. But when we are talking about the PCA, principal component analysis, is popular technique for driving set of the dimensional feature from the largest set of the variable. So it will reduce the dimensionality. So what is the difference between PC and the K-means? So principal component analysis, PC, is the popular technique for driving set of low dimensional feature. When we have the data into the low dimensional, so from the largest set of the variable, however, another popular application PC is visualize the higher dimension data. How? So the PCA chart we can also use here. So it is just the K-means to make them cluster, and the PCA is useful the low dimensional feature from the largest set of the variable. sklearn decomposition, like the deep, why the decomposition? Because the work on the low dimensional feature. And import the technique PCA. So now it will find out the shape of the data. So the total row are there, total columns are there. So now I want to feed the data into the PCA. So PCA is a sub module, sub package, sub functions. So how dimension you want to reduce, like the 2. So it take the number of component 2. Now similar I want to fit and but to transpose the data. transform the data. Then I want to display them. So it will transform the data and also convert it into the dimension. But again, I want to check the shape of the data. It's similar, same, but when we are talking about, there is the 64 column, but now the component is 2. And now I want to visualize this data. It depends on you. You want to visualize the data like the plt dot plot and the df and plt dot show. You can see the data is very messy. Depend on you. If you want to visualize the data into the 4 like PCA 4, there are the 4 data and data is also overlapping. But now the good thing, I want to visualize only the 2 component of the data. And also you can visualize the complete data first, like the data plt plot. Now I'm just trying to data is very, you can say that the first data is very messy, but when you want to display the PCA, so this data is there and I have visualized the data this one. But now the data dimensionality is more. So I want to apply some more thing on these techniques. So now I want to plot and I want to create the cluster on this data because we are not able to understand this data. So I want to fit this particular data into the K-means. K-means this particular one. And like number of cluster, I want to create the cluster 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever. I just passing the 10. You can check the 10 clusters successfully created, and I want to label them dot fit predict the data. DF, that means the PCA data. I took only the two data set. Now I want to predict the label. So it create some labeling value. And if you count the length, so there are some value. So it depend on us if you want to make them cluster. So how the data is more useful. Like the random data is random state, and number of value I want to initialize, like 10. And I want to fit my data, this data set, PCA or the data. Firstly, I am just passing the data. Then like K means I want to check the labels. Now the labels are there like 0, 1, 0, 1. So I took the only the two data set, and when you want to predict the value, like the range of the data, something like that, like K means dot predict the complete data again. Those data I have already passed. Now I want to find out the center point. So it is just the center points, all the similar data. So you know very well I have loaded the data to find out the shape of the data and the PCA. complete data basically in the PCA and to apply the K-means algorithm and to fit the data. And now it depends on you which value you want to use. So I want to let's first the value, like f value. So we have the data, and inside the data I want to check label is equal to 0. Now I want to visualize this data PLT fval from till to 0, all the value, this data set, and again all the value from the one data set. You can see all the data sets are on the same manner, but if I am just working the df, because why df? Because the df, the principal, I took only the two data set, so it will make them all the value. But now the question is that if I have loaded the data, but again I want to print fit the df, and here the df after to apply the PCA, only the two data set, and to know the central point basically. Now it is the perfect thing. Do not apply the K-mean directly to the entire. Firstly, to fit the two dimensions and to know the component shapes, and to again to visualize the whole data and the two component wise, and to make them the data and fit the particular PCA data into the clusters. Now it is just the clusters. But now I want to coloring them, all the values are 0 and all the values are 1. So it depends on us, like we want to color from the value. Obviously, uh, okay, not a problem. I'm just creating again the new one, and I'm just creating the labels, like the color. It is totally colorful. And again, if I perform the same, okay, not a problem. Here I took only the 0, label is 1, and fab value 2. Now you can see. Again, we have the 0 level data and the 1 level data. So automatically it will make them the group. So it was a very useful example. Now if I want to find out the unique value, so now I want to use one more library like the NumPy. Like the label anything what you want to use, like the u label. Np dot unique is a particular function label. So you know very well, and we have the label, and inside the label we have the value. So now I want to find out the unique value. So all the unique values are stored into the u label. Now I want to run a loop in u label and to plt dot scatter the value. Again the df label equal to I means that is the value. Like those label are come, so it will be checked to there. And again the same df label equal to I and also the 1. And also we are just labeling. You can see that it will make them the unique value cluster, like this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. And I want to use also the legends and plt dot show. So all the unique values 0 to 9, and it will make the cluster very useful and the very effective example of the K-means. Now you know very well how to find out the centers. I have already find out the centers. So now the similar data set, firstly to identify the centers, centroid, K-means, the cluster and center. So I have stored all the data here, but now I want to find out the centroid point all the clusters. So depend on us. Again, I want to use the one more chart. like PLT scatter, and the centroid. And again, I want to specify all the value to 0, and again centroid all the value from 1. And the scale size, it depend on you, 80, 60. I will change also the color, and I want to pick the color like black. You can choose only the centroids from the 0, and centroid is 1. So there are the value. There is only some centroids in my data set. But now again, U labels are there, because the centroids are there. And again, if you have loaded, load the data and fit into the label, and labels, predict, and K-means. Now, if you want to run again, so it is just a complete way. But if I want to find out all the centroids from the data set, so it depends on us. So otherwise, we have to firstly to predict. So I took only to the 2 cluster. Again, I take the 10 labels, because in the previous example, for this reason, I fit only the 2 cluster. Now here I find out the centroid of all the 10th cluster. Got it? Class, to all the questions which I have discussed. It is very, very effective or PCA under the clustering techniques in Python. So today I will discuss only that.